Imagine a world where the stars above were an unsolved mystery, where the vast expanse of space remained hidden from human sight. And yet, artists of the Renaissance dared to paint the heavens with breathtaking precision. Telescopes were centuries away from invention, and the cosmos was a realm of wonder, speculation, and sometimes fear. Yet, in the hands of masters like Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo, the skies were brought to life with an astonishing blend of science, faith, and boundless imagination. How did they do it? How could they create celestial masterpieces without ever truly seeing what lay beyond our planet? This is the story of how Renaissance artists interpreted space, not through the lens of technology, but through the power of their minds and the cultural tapestry of their time. Their works were not just paintings or sculptures, they were windows into a universe that was as much about theology and philosophy as it was about the stars. In this video, we'll uncover the techniques these artists used to depict the heavens, explore the cultural and intellectual influences that shaped their visions, and discover why their celestial artworks still captivate us today. From the intricate details of starry skies to the symbolic representations of divine order, their creations were a fusion of art and astronomy that continues to inspire wonder. So prepare to journey back to an era where art and science collided in breathtaking ways, where the cosmos was imagined in paint and stone, and where the mysteries of space were brought to life, not through telescopes, but through the enduring power of human creativity. What you're about to discover is more than just a story of art. It's a testament to the unyielding human spirit that dares to explore the unknown, even when the tools are not yet within reach. Let's begin this journey into the Renaissance and see how these visionary artists gave us a glimpse of the universe long before technology could. The Renaissance was a time of extraordinary curiosity, where the boundaries of human understanding were pushed further than ever before. Artists of this era weren't just creators of beauty, they were thinkers, philosophers, and explorers of the unknown. With no telescopes to peer into the vastness of space, they turned to the tools they had: ancient texts, religious teachings, and their own keen observations of the natural world. Classical works by thinkers like Ptolemy and Aristotle provided a foundation for understanding the heavens, while the Bible and other religious texts offered a spiritual framework for the cosmos. Yet, these artists didn't just copy what they read, they interpreted it, blending science, math, and faith into their creations. Figures like Copernicus and Galileo were beginning to challenge the long-held belief that Earth was the center of the universe. But even before their groundbreaking ideas took hold, artists were already grappling with these concepts in their work. They asked questions: what lies beyond the stars? How does the universe reflect divine order? And how can we, as humans, make sense of something so vast and mysterious? These questions weren't just abstract, they were deeply personal, driving artists to depict the cosmos in ways that were both awe-inspiring and deeply symbolic. Paintings of starry skies weren't just decorative, they were attempts to capture the harmony and complexity of creation. Sculptures of celestial figures weren't just art, they were meditations on humanity's place in the universe. This mindset, fueled by curiosity and a thirst for knowledge, allowed Renaissance artists to bridge the gap between the seen and the unseen. They didn't have the tools to observe the heavens directly, but they had something equally powerful: imagination. And it was this imagination, shaped by the intellectual and cultural currents of the time, that allowed them to create works of art that still inspire wonder today. In a world where the cosmos was both a scientific mystery and a spiritual journey, these artists found a way to make the intangible tangible, giving us a glimpse of the universe as they imagined it. and in doing so, they left us a legacy that continues to captivate and inspire. For Renaissance artists, the heavens were not just a physical expanse, they were a canvas for the divine. Religious beliefs profoundly shaped how they interpreted and depicted space, weaving biblical narratives into their understanding of the cosmos. Stories like the creation, where God separated the heavens from the earth, or the Star of Bethlehem, which guided the wise men to Jesus, were more than just tales. They were frameworks for understanding the universe. Artists used these stories to infuse their work with meaning, creating pieces that were not only visually stunning but also deeply spiritual. Paintings often depicted celestial realms filled with angels, saints, and divine figures, surrounded by glowing stars and concentric spheres. These images weren't just decorative, they conveyed a sense of order and purpose, showing the universe as a reflection of God's creation. In works like Giotto's frescoes or Botticelli's paintings, you can see how artists meticulously arranged celestial elements to symbolize divine harmony. The Virgin Mary, for example, was often shown enveloped in a mandorla of stars, her figure radiating light amidst the heavens. This blending of astronomy and spirituality allowed artists to explore the unknown in a way that was both awe-inspiring and accessible. They used familiar religious symbols to make the vastness of space feel intimate, connecting viewers to something greater than themselves. This approach also reflected the broader Renaissance mindset, where faith and reason were not seen as opposites but as complementary ways of understanding the world. By merging scientific curiosity with religious devotion, these artists created works that continue to resonate today, offering us a glimpse into how they envisioned the divine mysteries of the cosmos. Their ability to turn the intangible into something tangible reminds us that art is not just about what we see, it's about what we feel, what we believe, and what we dare to imagine. Leonardo da Vinci's notebooks are a treasure trove of curiosity, offering a window into his relentless quest to understand the cosmos. Among his sketches, you'll find detailed studies of eclipses, comets, and the moon's surface, observations he made without the aid of telescopes. Instead, Leonardo relied on his mastery of geometry and optics to theorize about how light and shadow interacted in the heavens. His sketches of celestial phenomena aren't just technical exercises, they're proof of his ability to blend art and science seamlessly. Take his exploration of lunar craters, for example. By observing the moon's phases and the way light played across its surface, Leonardo deduced that it was not a perfect sphere but a body with its own terrain, challenging the notion of celestial perfection that dominated his time. His unfinished masterpiece, The Adoration of the Magi, offers another fascinating glimpse into his cosmic imagination. In the background, swirling skies and ethereal light suggest a universe in motion, hinting at his belief in a dynamic, interconnected cosmos. This blending of scientific precision and artistic vision allowed Leonardo to push the boundaries of what was possible, creating works that were both technically brilliant and deeply evocative. His approach reminds us that curiosity knows no bounds, whether it's through the lens of a telescope or the stroke of a brush. Leonardo's cosmic sketches are more than just historical artifacts. They're a testament to the power of human imagination and the endless pursuit of understanding the mysteries that surround us. Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel ceiling stands as a breathtaking testament to humanity's attempt to visualize the divine. Without the aid of telescopes or modern science, Michelangelo crafted a celestial masterpiece that feels both monumental and deeply personal. He began by studying classical myths and biblical texts, drawing inspiration from ancient descriptions of the heavens. But it was his unparalleled artistic vision that transformed those sources into a living, breathing cosmos. The creation of Adam, perhaps the most famous panel, captures a moment of profound connection, God's hand outstretched, nearly touching Adam's, surrounded by swirling drapery that seems to pulse with divine energy. This intimate portrayal of creation invites viewers to feel as though they're witnessing the birth of the universe itself. Moving beyond the central panels, Michelangelo filled the ceiling with a host of celestial beings, cherubs, prophets, and sibyls, all framed by intricate architectural elements that give the illusion of a three-dimensional space. His use of perspective was revolutionary, making the flat ceiling appear as though it opened up to an infinite sky. In the Last Judgment, painted on the chapel's altar wall, Michelangelo took this vision even further. The chaotic, swirling composition of angels, saints, and sinners creates a sense of cosmic drama, as if the entire universe is in motion. What's remarkable is that Michelangelo achieved all of this without ever leaving the chapel's scaffolding. He worked for years, often lying on his back, painstakingly bringing his vision to life. His ability to imagine such vast, otherworldly scenes and translate them into paint speaks to his extraordinary genius. The Sistine Chapel ceiling isn't just a depiction of the heavens, it's a reflection of Michelangelo's own boundless creativity and his ability to make the divine feel within reach. Through his art, he invites us to look up and dream of what lies beyond the stars. Sandro Botticelli's The Birth of Venus and Primavera are more than just iconic masterpieces of the Renaissance. They are windows into a world where art and the cosmos were inextricably linked. In The Birth of Venus, the goddess emerges from the sea on a scallop shell, her figure delicate yet commanding, as if brought into being by the celestial forces themselves. The winds Zephyr and Aura guide her to shore, their presence not just a mythological detail but a reflection of astrological influences. Venus, often associated with the planet of love and beauty, becomes a celestial embodiment, her arrival symbolizing harmony and divine order. Similarly, Primavera is a tapestry of astrological symbolism. The central figure of Venus is surrounded by the three Graces, who represent the harmonious alignment of planets, while Mercury, the messenger of the gods, stands at the edge, his caduceus pointing skyward as if connecting the earthly to the celestial. Botticelli's meticulous attention to the positions of these figures mirrors the movements of the heavens, suggesting a deeper understanding of astrology as a guiding force in his work. The lush garden setting of Primavera is filled with over 500 species of plants, each chosen not just for their beauty but for their symbolic ties to the stars. Even the composition itself reflects the idea of balance and cosmic order, with the figures arranged in a way that echoes the alignment of planets during significant astrological events. Botticelli's ability to weave such intricate layers of meaning into his paintings reveals a Renaissance fascination with the cosmos, not just as a distant, unknowable realm, but as a living, breathing presence that shaped every aspect of human life. Through his art, Botticelli invites us to see the universe not as a void, but as a vibrant, interconnected web of forces that inspire and guide us. The Ptolemaic model of the universe, with Earth at its center and the planets, Sun, and stars orbiting in perfect concentric spheres, was the dominant cosmological framework of the Renaissance. This geocentric view wasn't just a scientific theory, it was a lens through which people understood their place in the cosmos. Artists like Raphael embraced this model, weaving its principles into their work to create compositions that mirrored the celestial order. In his famous fresco, The School of Athens, Raphael doesn't just depict a gathering of great thinkers, he places them within an architectural space that echoes the harmonious, structured universe of Ptolemaic astronomy. The vaulted ceilings and symmetrical arches draw the eye upward, suggesting a connection between earthly knowledge and the divine spheres above. Similarly, in the Disputation of the Holy Sacrament, Raphael arranges the figures in a circular pattern, mirroring the orbits of the celestial bodies. The central figure of Christ is positioned like the sun, radiating authority and light, while the surrounding saints and theologians form concentric rings, much like the planets in the Ptolemaic system. These compositions weren't merely artistic choices, they were deliberate attempts to align human understanding with the perceived order of the universe. By embedding Ptolemaic principles into their art, Renaissance painters like Raphael reinforced the idea that Earth and humanity were at the heart of creation, surrounded by a cosmos that was both orderly and divine. This visual language helped viewers of the time grasp complex astronomical ideas, making the heavens feel familiar and accessible. Through their art, these masters didn't just depict the world as it was known, they invited their audiences to see themselves as part of a grand, interconnected system, where every detail had its place in the cosmic design. This blending of science and art wasn't just about aesthetics, it was a profound way of communicating the Renaissance world view, where the pursuit of knowledge and the beauty of creation were one and the same. Albrecht Dürer's star maps stand as a remarkable fusion of art and science, showcasing how creativity and precision could illuminate the mysteries of the cosmos. In 1515, Dürer produced two celestial charts, one of the northern hemisphere and another of the southern, which were among the first printed star maps in Europe. These maps were not just technical tools, they were works of art, adorned with intricate illustrations of constellations depicted as mythological figures. Leo the lion, Orion the hunter, and Andromeda the princess were all rendered with Dürer's characteristic attention to detail, blending the imaginative with the scientific. The charts were based on the limited astronomical knowledge of the time, drawing from ancient sources like Ptolemy's Almagest and the observations of early Renaissance scholars. Yet, despite these constraints, Dürer's maps were groundbreaking. They brought the night sky into the hands of the public, making astronomy accessible to a wider audience. Before the invention of the telescope, these celestial maps were vital in helping people navigate and understand the heavens. Dürer's work also reflected the Renaissance spirit of inquiry, where art and science were deeply intertwined. His star charts were not just about plotting stars, they were about capturing the wonder of the cosmos. By presenting the constellations as both scientific data and mythological narratives, Dürer bridged the gap between the empirical and the imaginative, inviting viewers to see the stars not just as points of light, but as part of a larger, interconnected story. This dual approach allowed his maps to serve as both practical tools and sources of inspiration, embodying the Renaissance ideal of harmonizing knowledge and beauty. Through his celestial charts, Dürer not only advanced the field of astronomy, but also demonstrated how art could illuminate the unknown, making the vast and distant universe feel intimate and comprehensible. His legacy reminds us that the pursuit of understanding the cosmos is as much an artistic endeavor as it is a scientific one. Astrolabes, those intricate instruments of celestial navigation, were far more than just tools for measuring the stars. In the hands of Renaissance artists and craftsmen, they became masterpieces of both function and beauty, engraved with zodiac signs, constellations, and ornate geometric patterns. These devices were transformed into objects of wonder, where the practical and the poetic intertwined. The Zodiac, with its 12 signs representing cycles of time and human personality, was a recurring theme in these designs. Aries the ram, Taurus the bull, and Gemini the twins were meticulously etched into the brass surfaces, their forms rendered with a level of detail that elevated the astrolabe from a mere instrument to a work of art. This artistic embellishment was not merely decorative, it was symbolic. By incorporating celestial motifs, craftsmen linked the astrolabe to the cosmos itself, suggesting that these tools were not just for navigating the physical world, but for understanding the divine order of the universe. The engravings often included Arabic inscriptions, a nod to the instrument's origins in the Islamic world, where it had been refined over centuries. This cross-cultural influence added another layer of meaning, emphasizing the interconnectedness of human knowledge. Astrolabes were also personalized, sometimes bearing the names of their owners or the dates they were crafted, making each piece unique. For the Renaissance scholar, an astrolabe was not just a scientific instrument, it was a reflection of their intellectual and spiritual pursuits. The blend of artistry and functionality in these devices captures the essence of the Renaissance itself, a period where the boundaries between disciplines were fluid and creativity was seen as a path to deeper understanding. Through these beautifully crafted tools, the heavens were brought closer to Earth, and the mysteries of the cosmos were made tangible in ways that inspired both awe and inquiry. The Zodiac's presence in Renaissance art and architecture was far more than decorative. It was a profound expression of how people understood their place in the cosmos. In the grand rose windows of cathedrals, like those in Notre Dame or Chartres, zodiac signs were intricately woven into the stained glass, their vibrant colors casting patterns of light that seemed to bring the stars down to Earth. These windows were not just feats of craftsmanship, they were theological statements illustrating the harmony between divine order and human existence. The zodiac's 12 signs, each associated with specific months and seasons, served as a visual reminder of the cyclical nature of time and the interconnectedness of all creation. Alongside these celestial symbols, artists often depicted the labors of the months, scenes of rural life that showed the practical rhythms of farming and labor tied to the heavens. A farmer sowing seeds in March might be paired with Aries, while a harvest scene in September could accompany Virgo. These pairings reinforced the idea that the movements of the stars influenced every aspect of life, from the planting of crops to the celebration of festivals. In palaces and public buildings, frescoes often featured zodiac motifs, blending astrology with themes of power and destiny. The Medici family, for example, commissioned works that intertwined their lineage with the stars, suggesting a divine right to rule. Even in private homes, zodiac symbols adorned ceilings and walls, offering a daily reminder of the universe's vastness and the individual's place within it. Through these artistic expressions, the zodiac became a bridge between the earthly and the celestial, a way for people to contemplate the mysteries of fate and time while surrounded by breathtaking beauty. Perspective was the Renaissance artist's secret weapon, a mathematical innovation that transformed flat canvases into windows to infinity. By mastering linear perspective, a technique rooted in geometry, artists could create the illusion of depth, making their celestial visions feel tangible and real. Imagine standing beneath Andrea Mantegna's Camera degli Sposi ceiling fresco. What appears to be an open sky teeming with cherubs and clouds is in reality a perfectly calculated trick of the eye. Mantegna used converging lines and vanishing points to stretch the space upward, as if the room had no roof and the heavens themselves were within arm's reach. This wasn't just artistic flair, it was a philosophical statement about humanity's connection to the cosmos. Other artists, like Paolo Uccello, experimented with perspective in their depictions of starry skies and celestial spheres, using grids and precise measurements to anchor their fantastical visions in mathematical reality. Even in religious paintings, where the divine often appeared in luminous clouds or golden light, perspective gave these ethereal scenes weight and dimension, making them feel more accessible and awe-inspiring. The technique wasn't limited to grand frescoes or altar pieces. It found its way into smaller works too, like illuminated manuscripts and engravings, where artists used perspective to guide the viewer's gaze into the heavens. This blending of art and science wasn't just about creating beauty, it was about understanding the universe. By mastering the illusion of depth, Renaissance artists didn't just paint the sky, they brought it down to earth, inviting viewers to step into a world where the celestial and the terrestrial were one and the same. Cosmic imagery in manuscript illuminations reveals how artists of the Middle Ages and Renaissance transformed the written word into a visual journey through the heavens. In the margins of psalters, breviaries, and scientific texts, scribes and artists painted intricate scenes of stars, comets, and angelic hosts, turning each page into a miniature cosmos. These celestial decorations weren't merely ornamental, they were profound expressions of the era's spiritual and intellectual curiosity. Take, for example, the Tres Riches Hures du Duc de Berry, a 15th century book of hours. Among its pages, golden stars and swirling constellations frame biblical narratives, as if the heavens themselves were bearing witness to sacred stories. In scientific manuscripts like the Aratia, based on ancient texts, artists depicted constellations with meticulous detail, blending classical knowledge with medieval artistry. These illuminations often served a dual purpose. They beautified the text and reinforced the idea that the universe was a harmonious, divine creation. Even in works focused on earthly subjects like herbals or bestiaries, artists found ways to include celestial motifs, grounding the natural world within a larger cosmic order. The meticulous brushstrokes and vibrant pigments used in these miniatures show how much care was taken to evoke the wonder of the night sky. These manuscripts were more than books. They were portable observatories, allowing readers to explore the heavens from the comfort of their studies. By blending art and astronomy, these illuminations remind us that long before telescopes and space probes, humans looked to the stars with a sense of awe and reverence, seeking to understand their place in the vast expanse of the universe. The harmony of the spheres, a musical cosmos, Renaissance thinkers believed the planets moved in harmonic ratios, creating a celestial music of the spheres. Artists like Hans Memling depicted angels playing instruments, symbolizing this cosmic harmony. This idea bridged science, art, and mysticism, offering a poetic vision of the universe. This concept traces its roots to ancient Greek philosophers like Pythagoras, who first proposed that celestial bodies moved in mathematical relationships that produced a kind of divine music. By the Renaissance, this idea had evolved into a rich metaphor that captivated artists and scholars alike. In Hans Memling's The Last Judgment, angels are shown playing harps, lutes, and trumpets, their instruments echoing the perfect order of the heavens. These artistic depictions weren't just decorative, they were visual representations of the belief that the universe itself was a grand symphony, with each planet contributing its own note to the cosmic melody. This idea also found its way into literature and music. Composers like John Dowland and William Byrd wrote pieces inspired by the harmony of the spheres, while poets like Edmund Spenser referenced it in their works. The concept was more than just an artistic motif. It reflected the Renaissance worldview that everything in the universe was interconnected, from the tiniest atom to the vastest star. This blending of science and spirituality gave artists a unique way to explore the mysteries of the cosmos, using music and imagery to express ideas that were both profound and beautiful. By depicting this celestial harmony, Renaissance artists didn't just create art. They offered a vision of the universe that was as enchanting as it was enlightening. Their work reminds us that, even in an age before modern astronomy, humans found ways to marvel at the intricacies of the cosmos, weaving together sound, sight, and imagination into a tapestry of wonder. Comets streaking across the night sky, eclipses shrouding the sun in shadow, and supernovas bursting into existence, these celestial events were more than just astronomical phenomena to the Renaissance mind. They were seen as powerful omens, divine messages meant to guide or forewarn humanity. Artists of the time, like Paolo Uccello, captured these events with a mix of awe and trepidation, reflecting the era's blend of scientific curiosity and spiritual reverence. Uccello's depictions of comets, for instance, are not just scientific records, they are vivid, dramatic scenes that convey the emotional weight of these celestial occurrences. His use of bold lines and stark contrasts heightens the sense of urgency and wonder, making the viewer feel as though they are witnessing something truly extraordinary. The 1572 supernova, known today as Tycho's supernova, was one such event that left an indelible mark on Renaissance culture. This sudden, brilliant explosion in the night sky was visible for months and sparked widespread fascination and fear. Artists across Europe, from Germany to Italy, included it in their works, often placing it alongside religious or mythological figures to emphasize its significance. In some depictions, the supernova is shown as a harbinger of change, while in others, it is a symbol of divine intervention. These artistic interpretations reveal how deeply celestial events were woven into the fabric of Renaissance life, influencing not just science but also art, religion, and philosophy. For many, these phenomena were not random. They were part of a larger divine plan, a language of the heavens meant to communicate with those below. This belief in celestial portents also had practical implications, shaping decisions in politics, warfare, and even daily life. Kings consulted astrologers before making major decisions, and ordinary people looked to the skies for signs of what was to come. The intersection of astronomy and spirituality during the Renaissance created a rich tapestry of meaning, one that artists like Uccello deftly captured in their work. Their paintings remind us that, for all our modern understanding of the cosmos, there is still something deeply compelling about the way our ancestors viewed the stars, not just as distant lights, but as messengers, guides, and mysteries waiting to be unraveled. Astronomical instruments of the Renaissance were not merely functional devices, they were masterpieces that bridged the realms of science and art. Quadrants, armillary spheres, and sundials were crafted with meticulous attention to detail, often made from materials like brass, silver, and even gold. These objects were adorned with intricate engravings, elegant inscriptions, and sometimes even miniature paintings, transforming them into symbols of both intellectual pursuit and artistic achievement. Take the armillary sphere, for example, a complex model of the celestial sphere with rings representing the equator, the ecliptic, and other key astronomical lines. These spheres were not just tools for calculating the positions of stars and planets, they were also breathtaking works of art, often displayed as centerpieces in the studies of scholars and the courts of nobility. The craftsmanship involved in creating these instruments was a testament to the Renaissance ideal of blending beauty with utility. Sundials, too, were far more than timekeeping devices. They were sculpted into intricate shapes, from classical columns to mythical creatures, and often featured verses from poetry or philosophical sayings. These designs reflected the belief that understanding time was not just a scientific endeavor but also a deeply philosophical one. Even quadrants, used for measuring angles in the sky, were often embellished with celestial motifs and zodiac symbols, turning them into portable pieces of art that could be admired as much as they were used. This fusion of science and aesthetics was not accidental, it was deeply rooted in the Renaissance worldview. For thinkers of the time, the cosmos was a divine creation, and studying it was a way of connecting with the sacred. By making their instruments beautiful, Renaissance craftsmen were paying homage to the celestial order they sought to understand. These objects remind us that, in the Renaissance, science was not an isolated discipline. It was interwoven with art, philosophy, and spirituality. Each instrument was a tangible expression of humanity's quest to comprehend the universe, a quest that was as much about wonder and beauty as it was about precision and knowledge. Today, these instruments stand as enduring symbols of an era when the boundaries between art and science were fluid, and the cosmos was a source of endless inspiration. In Renaissance art, the moon was more than a celestial body. It was a canvas for imagination and mystery. Without the aid of telescopes, its surface remained largely unknown, leaving artists free to interpret it in ways that blended scientific curiosity with myth and folklore. In many paintings, the moon appears as a flawless, glowing circle, a symbol of purity and perfection. Yet, some artists ventured further, incorporating subtle textures or even exaggerated features to suggest a more complex reality. Jan van Eyck, for instance, often included the moon in his nighttime scenes, sometimes hinting at craters or shadows that hinted at a more nuanced understanding of its surface. These artistic choices were not just decorative, they reflected the gradual shift in how people viewed the moon. While still steeped in myth, with some depictions even showing a face or other fantastical elements, these works also hinted at an emerging recognition of the moon as a physical place, not just a distant light in the sky. This duality is fascinating. On one hand, the moon was a subject of wonder tied to stories of deities, magic, and the unknown. On the other, it was becoming a point of scientific interest as thinkers of the time began to ponder its nature and relationship to Earth. Even in these early depictions, we can see the seeds of curiosity that would later drive the development of astronomy. The moon's presence in Renaissance art serves as a reminder of how humanity's understanding of the cosmos has evolved. It wasn't just a celestial object, but a bridge between the known and the unknown, a source of inspiration that fueled both artistic creativity and scientific inquiry. These paintings invite us to consider how our ancestors looked at the night sky, seeing not just a satellite but a mystery waiting to be unraveled. Through their brushes, they captured the moon as a symbol of both beauty and enigma, a testament to the enduring human desire to explore and understand the universe. Giulio Romano's frescoes in the Palazzo del Te are a breathtaking example of how Renaissance artists pushed the boundaries of imagination to create immersive environments. Unlike traditional paintings confined to flat canvases, Romano's works envelop entire rooms, transforming architecture into a vivid exploration of the cosmos. One of his most striking achievements is the Sala dei Giganti, or Hall of the Giants, where the walls and ceiling converge to depict a chaotic scene of mythological figures tumbling from the heavens. The effect is almost cinematic, as if the viewer is standing at the center of a cosmic storm. Romano's attention to detail is extraordinary, from the dramatic expressions of the falling giants to the swirling clouds that seem to move as you walk through the space. This wasn't just art, it was an experience, a way to transport viewers into a world where myth and reality intertwined. The celestial themes extend beyond the Hall of the Giants, with other rooms featuring star-studded skies, planets, and mythological creatures that blur the line between art and storytelling. These frescoes reflect a broader Renaissance fascination with the heavens, but Romano took it a step further by integrating his visions into the very structure of the building. The Palazzo del Te became a living canvas, a place where visitors could step into the artist's mind and witness the universe through his eyes. Romano's work reminds us that art during this period wasn't just about beauty or technique, it was about creating a dialogue between the viewer and the infinite. By expanding his vision beyond the confines of a frame, Romano challenged the limitations of his medium and invited people to see the cosmos not as a distant mystery, but as a space they could inhabit, even if only for a moment. The use of gold leaf in Renaissance art wasn't just a decorative choice. It was a profound statement about the relationship between the divine and the earthly. Artists like Fra Angelico employed this technique to create a sense of otherworldly radiance, transforming flat panels into windows to the celestial. By applying thin sheets of gold to their works, they achieved a visual effect that transcended mere representation. When light struck these surfaces, it would shimmer and reflect, giving the illusion that the figures themselves were glowing from within. This wasn't just about beauty, it was about evoking the sacred. In Fra Angelico's Annunciation, for example, the angel Gabriel's wings and robes seem to emit their own light, as if they are part of a realm beyond human understanding. The Virgin Mary, too, is bathed in this radiant glow, emphasizing her purity and divine favor. This technique wasn't limited to individual figures. Entire backgrounds were often gilded, creating a sense of infinite space that felt both vast and intimate. The gold leaf became a bridge between the material and the spiritual, a way to suggest the presence of the divine in a tangible form. It also reflected the Renaissance belief in the harmony of art and faith, where visual beauty could inspire spiritual contemplation. For viewers of the time, these works weren't just paintings, they were invitations to connect with the sacred. The interplay of light and gold created a dynamic experience, one that changed depending on the viewer's perspective and the time of day. This added layer of interaction made the divine feel immediate and alive, a reminder that the sacred wasn't distant but ever present. Through this innovative use of gold leaf, Renaissance artists didn't just depict the heavens, they brought them to life, transforming their canvases into portals of light and wonder. Dante's Divine Comedy provided Renaissance artists with a rich visual language to explore the unseen realms of the afterlife. The poem's vivid descriptions of hell, purgatory, and heaven offered a roadmap for creators like Domenico di Michelangelo, who transformed Dante's words into striking visual narratives. In Michelangelo's famous depiction of Dante and his poem, the poet stands at the center of Florence, holding a copy of the Divine Comedy while the city's iconic cathedral looms behind him. To his left, the gates of hell open into a fiery abyss, while to his right, the towering mountain of purgatory rises toward the celestial sphere of heaven. This layered composition not only captures the epic scope of Dante's journey, but also reflects the Renaissance fascination with mapping the invisible. By translating Dante's poetic imagery into visual form, artists gave viewers a tangible way to engage with these abstract spiritual concepts. The intricate details in these works, like the writhing figures in hell or the serene souls ascending purgatory, helped audiences visualize the moral and theological ideas at the heart of the poem. This collaboration between literature and art was more than just illustration. It was a way to make the intangible tangible. Artists drew on Dante's descriptions to create immersive scenes that invited viewers to contemplate their own spiritual journeys. The Divine Comedy's influence extended beyond individual works, shaping the way Renaissance thinkers approached questions of morality, redemption, and the nature of the universe. Through these visual interpretations, Dante's epic became a bridge between the medieval and Renaissance worlds, proving that art could transcend time and space to explore the mysteries of existence. By bringing his cosmic vision to life, Renaissance artists didn't just honor a literary masterpiece, they expanded the horizons of human imagination. Cosmic landscapes found their way into the very fabric of Renaissance life through intricate tapestries, where celestial motifs became a thread that connected the heavens to the earthly realm. The Hunt of the Unicorn series, a masterpiece of textile art, is a prime example of how artists wove the cosmos into their designs. These tapestries often feature starry skies that stretch across the background, with planets and constellations subtly integrated into the scenes. These celestial elements weren't just decorative, they carried deep symbolic meaning. The unicorn, a creature associated with purity and the divine, is often depicted under a canopy of stars, linking its mythical essence to the infinite expanse of the universe. This blending of earthly and cosmic imagery allowed viewers to experience the heavens in their own homes, making the mysteries of the cosmos feel personal and accessible. Tapestries were more than just art, they were functional pieces hung in castles and mansions to insulate walls and showcase wealth. But they also served as a medium for storytelling and spiritual reflection. By incorporating celestial symbols, artists invited viewers to ponder their place in the grander scheme of creation. The meticulous craftsmanship of these tapestries, each thread carefully chosen and woven, mirrored the Renaissance belief in the harmony and order of the universe. Through these textiles, the cosmos wasn't just a distant idea. It was a presence woven into the fabric of daily life. This fusion of artistry and symbolism transformed tapestries into a unique form of cosmic exploration, one that bridged the gap between the earthly and the eternal. The Hunt of the Unicorn series, with its intricate details and celestial motifs, reminds us that the Renaissance was a time when even the most ordinary objects could become a canvas for the extraordinary. The influence of Arab astronomy played a pivotal role in how Renaissance artists reimagined the cosmos. During the Middle Ages, while much of ancient Greek knowledge had been lost in Europe, Islamic scholars preserved and expanded upon these teachings. Arab astronomers meticulously translated and annotated Greek texts, creating a rich body of work that would eventually make its way back to Europe. This cross-cultural exchange was a treasure trove for Renaissance thinkers and artists who eagerly absorbed the detailed star charts, celestial globes, and manuscripts from the Arab world. These materials didn't just provide technical knowledge, they offered a new visual language for understanding the heavens. Take, for example, the work of the Persian astronomer Abd al-Rahman al-Sufi, whose Book of Fixed Stars became a cornerstone of astronomical study. His detailed illustrations of constellations were not only scientifically accurate but also artistically stunning, blending myth and science in a way that resonated deeply with Renaissance creators. When European artists began to incorporate these celestial maps into their works, they brought a sense of precision and wonder to their depictions of the night sky. This wasn't just about copying shapes and patterns, it was about capturing the spirit of exploration and discovery that defined the era. The celestial globes crafted by Islamic artisans, with their intricate engravings of stars and constellations, became prized possessions in European courts. These globes were more than scientific instruments, they were symbols of knowledge and power, tangible connections to a universe that was being redefined through art and science. The influence of Arab astronomy can be seen in works like Albrecht Dürer's celestial charts, which combined European artistic techniques with the detailed star maps of the Islamic world. This blending of traditions didn't just enrich Renaissance art, it reflected a broader cultural exchange that was reshaping the way people saw themselves and their place in the cosmos. By drawing on these ancient yet newly rediscovered sources, artists were able to create visions of the universe that were both scientifically informed and deeply imaginative. The stars, once distant and mysterious, became a shared heritage, a bridge between cultures that spanned continents and centuries. This legacy reminds us that the Renaissance wasn't just a European phenomenon, it was a global conversation, one that continues to inspire us today. Alchemy and the stars intertwined in ways that fascinated Renaissance thinkers, blending science, art, and the mystical into a single pursuit. Alchemists, driven by the dream of transforming base metals into gold, saw the cosmos as a mirror of earthly processes. They believed that the movements of planets and stars held the key to unlocking the secrets of matter itself. Astrological symbols became a vital part of their language, with each planet and zodiac sign representing different elements and stages of transformation. This celestial symbolism didn't stay confined to the laboratories of alchemists. It found its way into art, where it became a powerful visual tool for exploring the mysteries of existence. Hieronymus Bosch, for instance, masterfully wove alchemical imagery into his surreal and intricate paintings. In works like The Garden of Earthly Delights, the heavens and earth seem to merge, with celestial bodies governing the chaotic, dreamlike landscapes. These paintings weren't just fantastical scenes, they were visual allegories, suggesting that the universe's secrets could be decoded through both science and art. The Renaissance fascination with alchemy also reflected a broader belief in the interconnectedness of all things. Artists saw their work as a kind of alchemy itself, transforming raw materials into something transcendent. The use of gold leaf in religious paintings, for example, wasn't just decorative, it symbolized the divine light and purity that artists sought to capture. Even the process of mixing pigments and creating colors was often compared to alchemical experimentation, as artists sought to achieve the perfect hue or shine. This blending of alchemy and art wasn't just about aesthetics. It was a profound exploration of the relationship between the material and the spiritual, the earthly and the celestial. The stars, planets, and zodiac signs became symbols of transformation, guiding both the alchemist's experiments and the artist's brush. In this way, Renaissance art became a space where science and mysticism converged, offering viewers a glimpse into the hidden connections that bind the universe together. This legacy reminds us that the quest to understand the cosmos has always been as much about imagination as it is about observation. The alchemical symbols in these works continue to intrigue us, inviting us to ponder the mysteries that lie beyond the visible world. Female figures played a powerful role in the celestial imagery of the Renaissance, embodying both the sacred and the cosmic. The Virgin Mary, often depicted as Queen of Heaven, became a central figure in religious art, her presence bridging the earthly and the divine. Artists portrayed her surrounded by stars, her head crowned with a halo of light, symbolizing her role as a mediator between humanity and the heavens. This imagery wasn't just about devotion, it reflected a broader cultural belief in the spiritual power of women. Beyond religious art, the stars themselves were personified as female figures. Constellations like Andromeda, Cassiopeia, and Virgo were painted with grace and majesty, their stories woven into the night sky. These figures weren't just decorative, they carried deep symbolic meaning. Andromeda, for example, chained to a rock as a sacrifice to a sea monster, was often depicted as a symbol of resilience and eventual salvation. Artists used her story to explore themes of suffering, redemption, and the protective power of the divine. Similarly, Cassiopeia, the queen who boasted of her beauty, was painted in the heavens as a reminder of both pride and punishment. These celestial women served as moral and spiritual guides, their stories offering lessons about humility, virtue, and the consequences of human actions. The portrayal of female figures in the cosmos also reflected societal views of femininity. Women were often seen as closer to the divine, their roles as mothers, nurturers, and caretakers paralleling the nurturing qualities of the earth and the heavens. This duality, earthly and celestial, made female figures ideal vessels for exploring the mysteries of the cosmos. Artists like Sandro Botticelli and Albrecht Dürer brought these figures to life with intricate detail, blending mythology, astronomy, and theology into a single visual narrative. Botticelli's The Birth of Venus, for instance, captures the goddess emerging from the sea, her ethereal beauty a reflection of both earthly and heavenly ideals. These depictions weren't just artistic choices, they were a way of understanding the universe. By giving the cosmos a feminine form, artists made it more relatable, more human. The stars, once distant and unknowable, became stories of love, sacrifice, and transformation. This blending of the celestial and the feminine reminds us that the Renaissance wasn't just about scientific discovery. It was about finding meaning in the cosmos, and women played a crucial role in that search. Their presence in the stars continues to inspire, inviting us to look up and see not just patterns of light, but stories that connect us to something greater. The night sky wasn't just a backdrop in Renaissance portraiture, it was a statement. Artists used celestial imagery to elevate their subjects, connecting them to themes of eternity, power, and the divine. Take Hans Holbein's The Ambassadors, for instance. The painting is famous for its anamorphic skull, a symbol of mortality, but it also features a celestial globe, a detailed representation of the heavens. This juxtaposition is deliberate. The globe, with its intricate mapping of stars and constellations, suggests the infinite, a realm beyond the fleeting nature of human life. By placing these elements side by side, Holbein invites viewers to ponder the tension between the temporal and the eternal. But this wasn't just about intellectual musings. Including the night sky in portraits was also a way to assert the subject's importance. Celestial imagery conveyed a sense of elevated status, as if the person depicted was not just connected to the earth but also to the cosmos. This was particularly powerful in an age when the heavens were still seen as the domain of the divine. For example, in portraits of rulers and nobles, a starry backdrop often symbolized their divine right to rule, suggesting they were chosen by the heavens themselves. Even in more personal portraits, the night sky could carry profound meaning. A woman depicted under a canopy of stars might be seen as a figure of virtue, her purity and grace mirrored in the celestial sphere. Artists like Titian and Lorenzo Lotto used these cosmic elements to add layers of meaning to their work. In Titian's Portrait of a Man with a Glove, the dark, star-speckled background isn't just a decorative choice, it amplifies the subject's quiet dignity, suggesting he is a man of depth, connected to something greater than himself. The night sky also allowed artists to play with symbolism. Stars could represent hope, guidance, or destiny, while the moon might evoke mystery or transformation. These elements weren't randomly chosen, they were carefully integrated to enhance the narrative of the portrait. By weaving the cosmos into their art, Renaissance painters weren't just decorating their canvases, they were embedding profound philosophical and spiritual ideas. This fusion of the personal and the cosmic reminds us that portraiture in the Renaissance was never just about capturing a likeness. It was about exploring the human condition, our place in the universe, and the enduring connection between the earthly and the celestial. Celestial maps in churches were more than just decorative elements, they were profound expressions of faith and wonder. In the Renaissance, church ceilings were transformed into vast, painted skies, where constellations and stars became a spiritual guide for the faithful. These astronomical ceilings, as they were called, served a dual purpose. They educated the congregation about the heavens while inspiring them to look beyond the earthly realm. Take the San Petronio Basilica in Bologna, for example. Its ceiling is adorned with a detailed star map, meticulously painted to reflect the night sky. This wasn't just an artistic flourish, it was a deliberate attempt to merge the sacred with the cosmic, reminding worshippers of the divine order governing the universe. Artists and astronomers often collaborated on these projects, ensuring the accuracy of the celestial depictions. The stars and constellations weren't randomly placed, they were carefully aligned to mirror the heavens as they appeared in reality. This attention to detail made the church a place of both worship and learning, where the faithful could literally look up to the heavens and feel a connection to something greater. The astronomical ceiling in the Church of San Lorenzo in Florence is another stunning example. Here, the artist Domenico Ghirlandaio painted a starry sky that seemed to stretch endlessly, evoking a sense of infinity. Such ceilings were designed to elevate the spirit, encouraging contemplation and reverence. They also reflected the Renaissance belief in the harmony between science and religion. By incorporating accurate astronomical data into their designs, artists showed that understanding the natural world could deepen one's faith. These celestial maps weren't confined to Italy either. Across Europe, churches embraced this trend, each adding its own unique interpretation. In Germany, the ceiling of the Church of St. Michael in Munich features a vibrant depiction of the heavens, complete with golden stars and swirling constellations. In Spain, the monastery of El Escala boasts a stunning celestial fresco that seems to dissolve the boundary between the earthly and the divine. These spaces became more than just places of worship. They were immersive experiences designed to transport the viewer into the celestial realm. By painting the heavens above, artists created a bridge between the human and the divine, reminding the faithful of their place in the grand tapestry of creation. Renaissance celebrations often transformed into breathtaking displays of artistry and ingenuity, where temporary theaters became stages for the cosmos itself. For grand events like royal weddings or festivals, artists and engineers collaborated to create immersive environments that transported audiences into the heavens. These theaters of the universe, as they were sometimes called, were not just sets, they were elaborate mechanical marvels designed to awe and inspire. Artists like Bernardo Buontalenti, renowned for his theatrical designs, pushed the boundaries of what was possible, crafting stages where planets and stars moved as if by magic. Imagine walking into a grand hall where the ceiling was painted with constellations, and mechanical devices slowly rotated celestial bodies across the sky. The effect was mesmerizing, blurring the line between reality and illusion. Buontalenti's work for the Medici family in Florence is a prime example. For a wedding celebration in the late 16th century, he designed a theatrical set featuring a rotating model of the solar system. The planets, powered by intricate clockwork mechanisms, orbited a radiant sun while stars twinkled above. This wasn't just entertainment, it was a statement of power and knowledge, showcasing the patron's understanding of the cosmos. These temporary theaters also reflected the Renaissance fascination with astronomy and the natural world. They were a testament to the era's belief in the harmony between art and science, where the beauty of the heavens could be recreated on Earth. The moving planets and stars weren't random. They were meticulously aligned to mimic the movements observed in the night sky. This attention to detail made the experience both educational and awe-inspiring. The audience wasn't merely watching a spectacle. They were participating in a journey through the universe, guided by the ingenuity of the artist. These theaters also served as a form of propaganda, reinforcing the idea that the ruling elite were not just earthly leaders but also custodians of celestial knowledge. By commissioning such displays, patrons demonstrated their intellectual and cultural sophistication, aligning themselves with the stars. The legacy of these temporary theaters can still be seen in modern-day performances and installations, where artists continue to explore the relationship between art, science, and spectacle. They remind us that the Renaissance wasn't just a period of historical significance, it was a time when the boundaries of imagination were pushed and the cosmos became a canvas for human creativity. The invention of the telescope in the early 17th century marked a turning point in how artists and thinkers perceived space. No longer bound to purely imaginative interpretations, creators began to merge art with the emerging field of modern astronomy. Lodovico Sigoli, a close friend of Galileo, stands out as a pivotal figure in this transition. Sigoli's work reflects the profound impact of Galileo's telescopic discoveries, particularly his detailed observations of the moon. In his fresco, The Assumption of the Virgin, painted in the Pauline Chapel in Rome, Sigoli depicted the moon with remarkable accuracy, showcasing its cratered surface as Galileo had described it. This was a radical departure from the smooth, idealized celestial bodies of earlier Renaissance art. Sigoli's painting wasn't just a religious work, it was a statement of scientific truth, blending faith with the new understanding of the cosmos. Galileo himself praised Sigoli's ability to translate astronomical observations into art, calling it a triumph of both disciplines. This collaboration between artist and scientist symbolized a broader shift in the Renaissance worldview. The heavens were no longer a realm of unchanging perfection, but a dynamic, complex space waiting to be explored. As telescopes improved, so did the accuracy of artistic depictions. Painters and engravers began to incorporate detailed celestial maps, planetary movements, and even comets into their works. This newfound precision didn't diminish the wonder of space, it deepened it. By grounding their art in scientific observation, creators like Sigoli helped bridge the gap between imagination and reality, paving the way for the Enlightenment's fusion of art and science. The transition from imaginative space art to scientifically informed depictions wasn't immediate or universal. Some artists clung to traditional styles, while others eagerly embraced the new discoveries. But the seeds had been planted, and the Renaissance's imaginative interpretations of space gradually gave way to the more empirical approach of the scientific revolution. This shift wasn't just about changing artistic techniques, it reflected a fundamental transformation in how humanity understood its place in the universe. The cosmos was no longer a distant, untouchable realm, but a subject of study, exploration, and awe. Sigoli's lunar depiction stands as a testament to this momentous change, capturing the spirit of an era where art and science walked hand in hand into the unknown. The legacy of Renaissance space art lives on vibrantly in today's science fiction and modern visual depictions of the cosmos. Films like Interstellar and Gravity are direct descendants of the creative spirit that once inspired artists like Sigoli and Leonardo da Vinci. These modern works continue to blend scientific accuracy with imaginative storytelling, creating awe-inspiring visuals that transport audiences to uncharted realms. Just as Renaissance artists relied on the limited astronomical knowledge of their time to envision the heavens, today's filmmakers and digital artists use cutting-edge technology and the latest scientific discoveries to craft their masterpieces. The result is a seamless fusion of fact and fantasy, where black holes, distant galaxies, and alien landscapes are rendered with breathtaking precision. Planetarium shows, too, carry forward this tradition, using immersive visuals and soundscapes to recreate the wonders of the universe. These experiences, much like the frescoes and paintings of the Renaissance, serve as a bridge between science and the public, making complex concepts accessible and emotionally resonant. Contemporary artists like Michael Benson and Lynette Cook also draw inspiration from this rich heritage, using photography, digital art, and traditional techniques to explore the beauty of space. Their works often start with raw data from telescopes and space probes, transforming it into evocative images that capture the imagination. This ongoing dialogue between art and science highlights a timeless truth. Our fascination with the cosmos is as much about curiosity as it is about creativity. The Renaissance taught us to see space not just as a physical expanse but as a canvas for human expression. Today's creators continue this journey, reminding us that the unknown is not just something to be studied, it's something to be felt, imagined, and celebrated. Across centuries, from the brushstrokes of Sigolli to the digital renderings of modern sci-fi, one thing remains constant: the human desire to explore, understand, and portray the infinite mysteries of the universe. The idea that Renaissance artists possessed secret knowledge or mystical visions of space is a fascinating myth, but one that doesn't hold up under scrutiny. Their depictions of the cosmos were deeply rooted in the scientific and cultural context of their time, not in supernatural insight or hidden wisdom. Artists like Leonardo da Vinci and Sigolli were meticulous observers of the natural world, relying on the astronomical theories and observational tools available to them. For example, Leonardo's studies of light and shadow, as well as his anatomical sketches, reveal a commitment to understanding the physical world through careful examination. Similarly, Sigolli's fresco of the Assumption of the Virgin in the Pauline Chapel was informed by Galileo's telescopic discoveries, not by divine revelation. The celestial sphere in Sigolli's work reflects the moon's rough, cratered surface as described by Galileo, a detail that underscores the artist's reliance on empirical evidence. The Renaissance was a period of rediscovery where ancient texts and new scientific ideas blended to shape artistic expression. Artists often consulted works like Ptolemy's Almagest, which described the movements of celestial bodies, or drew inspiration from the emerging heliocentric theories of Copernicus. Their paintings and frescoes were not attempts to portray space as we understand it today, but rather interpretations based on the knowledge and artistic conventions of the time. The moon, stars, and planets were often depicted symbolically, reflecting theological and philosophical ideas rather than accurate astronomical observations. For instance, the moon might be shown as a smooth, glowing orb to represent purity or divine light, rather than as a rocky, cratered satellite. This blending of science, art, and culture allowed Renaissance artists to create works that resonated deeply with their audiences, even if they didn't fully grasp the true nature of space. By debunking the myth of supernatural vision, we gain a greater appreciation for their ingenuity and the intellectual curiosity that drove their creativity. Their legacy reminds us that art and science are not opposing forces but interconnected ways of exploring and understanding the universe. Through their eyes, we see not the limits of their knowledge but the boundless possibilities of human imagination. The enduring appeal of Renaissance cosmic art lies in its ability to blend awe and intellect, offering a timeless connection to the mysteries of the universe. Even in our modern era, where satellites and telescopes have mapped the cosmos with incredible precision, these hand-painted visions of the heavens continue to captivate us. They remind us that space is not just a cold, scientific frontier, but also a source of profound beauty and inspiration. Take, for example, the celestial murals adorning the domes of churches and palaces. These works were not merely decorative, they were meant to elevate the viewer's thoughts beyond the earthly realm, inviting contemplation of the divine and the infinite. Artists like Fra Angelico and Botticelli used their brushes to create ethereal skies filled with stars, angels, and planets, crafting scenes that felt both otherworldly and deeply human. Their depictions of the cosmos were grounded in the knowledge of their time, yet they transcended it, evoking a sense of wonder that resonates across centuries. What makes these works so compelling is their balance of artistry and inquiry. They were born from a time when science and spirituality were not seen as opposites, but as complementary ways of understanding the universe. Renaissance artists were not just painters, they were thinkers, philosophers, and explorers of the unknown. Their art reflects this dual pursuit of knowledge and beauty, offering a window into a worldview that revered both the seen and the unseen. Today, as we gaze at their celestial scenes, we are reminded of the enduring power of creativity to bridge the gap between the known and the unknown. Their work invites us to look at the stars not just as points of light in the night sky, but as symbols of the infinite possibilities that lie beyond our understanding. In a world increasingly driven by data and technology, Renaissance cosmic art offers a refreshing reminder that the universe is as much a place of imagination and wonder as it is of discovery and exploration. Their legacy challenges us to see beyond the limits of our time and to embrace the timeless quest for meaning that connects us all. From gold-leafed angels to geometrically perfect skies, Renaissance artists gave form to the unfathomable, merging the divine and the scientific in ways that still leave us in awe. Their celestial creations were not just artistic triumphs, but also profound meditations on humanity's place in the cosmos. Think of the intricate star maps painted on cathedral ceilings, where every constellation was meticulously placed, not just as decoration but as a testament to the harmony of creation. These works remind us that space, even in its vastness, was once a canvas for human imagination and faith. Today, as we marvel at the breathtaking images captured by modern telescopes, it's worth reflecting on how far we've come, and yet, how much we still owe to those early visionaries. The Renaissance artists who painted the heavens without ever leaving Earth's surface gave us more than beauty. They gave us a legacy of curiosity and wonder. Their art invites us to keep looking up, to keep exploring, and to keep dreaming. If this journey through the cosmic visions of the Renaissance has sparked your imagination, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. What's your favorite Renaissance depiction of space? Let's continue this conversation and celebrate the timeless connection between art, science, and the stars.